Well, welcome everyone. I'll call the Regional Council meeting for December 8th to order. Just take a moment to acknowledge that the Northern Rockies Administration Center is located in the heart of the traditional territory of the Dene, Cree, and Dene Saw people of Fort Nelson and Prophet River First Nations. We further recognize the rights provided by our treaty. And also celebrate the contributions and the enduring presence of the Métis people in our region. Please be advised that tonight's meeting is available for the public to attend virtually, is being streamed and recorded. Council, are there any additions to the agenda? I have an agenda addition. I would like to add the email that we received from, oh my gosh, where is it? From Jeff. Dennis Thompson, right? Okay, yeah, from Dennis. Oh, it's right here. Yeah, I want to add that to the correspondence part of the agenda. Okay, any other additions, CAO?
No, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, and anything from the mayor? Is he on?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Okay, great. Public comment period. Is there anybody online or in the gallery that wishes to speak to tonight's agenda? Okay, seeing none, looking for an adoption of the agenda, please. Councillor Andrews, seconded by Councillor Roper. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Adoption of the minutes. So Regional Council, November 24th, Special Regional Council, November 20th, Committee of the Whole, November 24th. Yeah, looking for an adoption of the minutes. Councillor Enox, seconded by Councillor Andrews. All those in favor? Motion carries. Business arising from the minutes. So I have two things. First being Regional Council Enox to be appointed to the Tourism Advisory Committee. I'm looking for a resolution for that or a motion for that. Councillor Souls, seconded by Councillor Andrews. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. And also the second point is that the Alaska Highway Community Society is being disbanded. So that's for information. Okay. Any other business arising from those minutes? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to Administration Report 6325. Dog park considerations that staff pursue low-cost improvements to pilot a dog park at mile 295, including installation of gates, signage, and that staff proceed with an application to the Ministry of Water, Land, and Resource Stewardship for amendment to the NRM's license of occupation at Roy Gardner Park, mile 301, to permit use as a dog park. Thank you. Hand it over to staff. Welcome, Ms. Shepherd. Nice to see you.
Thank you. So this report comes to you after continued interest in establishing a community dog park. The report lays out some short-term scalable options and starts with the pilot at mile 295, which would include installation of minimal infrastructure. Simultaneously, staff can begin discussions with the province to explore whether dog park use would be supported at the mile 301 park. And a special project will come forward in the 2026 budget process for planning a purpose-built dog park. So some considerations are outlined in the attachment for some of the dog park areas that have been discussed previously. We have included a snippet of the mile 301 park, and in the snippet it does show both the ball diamond and the park, but the dog park area that's being used right now is just the playground and field. And that's more like 2.5 acres than the number that's in the report. So seeking council's direction on how to move forward.
Okay, I just want to confirm that it is not encroaching and will not encroach upon the Roy Gardner ball diamond. Correct? It's just that separate play area that was once a soccer field.
Yeah, any negotiating with the province, we can make sure that that's clear, that we would continue use of the ball diamond and hopefully, or see what their thoughts are on using that other space as a dog park.
Okay. Councillor Roper.
That was my exact question.
Oh.
But maybe I'll have another one.
Okay.
Are we settled on this location? Is there still room for debate? I wasn't at the meeting where this was discussed, so is it still up in the air, or is this where we're going?
Go ahead.
So there was just some correspondence in the last month about wanting a dog park again. So this report came forward with some ideas of how to move forward. And so there's a suggestion that the pilot happen at mile 295, because it would be fairly minimal infrastructure required to get that going. And then staff can begin negotiating with the province. Right now, we have a license of occupation on mile 301 that doesn't permit dog use. So just to start that conversation and see where that goes, and staff can come back with another report once we hear back from them, learn more.
Go ahead.
Is the location at Lagoon Road, does that have less logistics to use for that use, or is it just more expensive because it doesn't have the fencing already?
Yeah, so there would have to be further study done. For sure, it doesn't have the fencing, where mile 301 could be fairly simple to upgrade from my understanding with rec. So Lagoon Road is definitely bigger, that location, but it would need a full planning piece built into it.
I would really like to see a dog park naturally coincide with our walking trail. I think that would be a really good location. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay. And this was, the discussion was around just something to start to get ready as a pilot to see how it all goes. And then during budget deliberations, considering different opportunities to have like a bigger kind of a Fort St. John-esque kind of a dog park that we all enjoyed when we were on evacuation. So
to reiterate, this doesn't 295 doesn't necessarily have to be the final location. It could be a temporary location till grant funding or other considerations are taken, and then it could move to a bigger area. Is that what we're?
that is my understanding. And Ms. Shepherd, is that you?
Or would this lock us into that
No.
if we decide to do the pilot there?
Yeah, for sure. We've outlined the word pilot being that it's definitely a temporary thing. And I'm reminded of the share shed where it was a pilot to start with, came back. These are some of the challenges. This is how we might mitigate those. And then council's eventual resolution to move forward with a permanent. So it could be temporary, it could be permanent, there could be both. It's all kind of up in the air for council's decision.
Yeah. We also have the option not to do anything just yet too. So Councillor Andrews.
Has any research been done on like annual maintenance and operations of a dog park? Like what kind of expense we might be looking at?
No, not to that degree. I think that sort of would happen within the pilot, like seeing what kind of long-term maintenance requirements are.
Yeah, that was the other reasoning for doing a smaller scale and doing it as a pilot project so that we could get some sort of handle on how much maintenance would be required, how much attention to the area would be required, or would people be taking care of their own stuff, or the Councillor Enox?
I'd just like to see if there was an option for part of it being on leash and then part of it being off leash. Myself, I'm scared of dogs, so I know how other people are too, especially with your animals. They don't know, not all dogs are friendly.
Okay, Councillor Souls.
Given the 295 location and so on, of course, there'll be some people closer to that will find it really at home, but a lot of people from town would actually have to load their dog up and go to it and drive to it. So, and the same kind of exists with the 301 site. And I was thinking that maybe we could just restrict the pilot to the 295 and then do the research that's necessary in the Lagoon Road and other areas that where it would make sense to have something in town. Because I think the in-town one will have definitely more usage than either of the other ones if they were even in a pilot sense. The thing is that I think that there's one of my rationales for thinking that is that once you get 295 working and it works, you find that it does work and you do your research, I'd be hard pressed to see it shutting off just because it was a pilot. If there are users that would be using it, I think that's a good option because it's a low cost starting point, and that may have a permanent usage. I think it's a good idea to go with.
Thank you. Councillor Andrews, sorry.
No, that's fine. I noticed last summer Dawson Creek has an old ball diamond that has been converted, and it seems to be pretty permanent there. I wonder if we could get some initial costs. I'm hesitant to do this prior to budget when we don't have a cost in mind. So I would rather see some figures before I made a decision.
Okay, thank you.
I did reach out to the Dawson Creek Society. So they established a society in order to be eligible for grant funding down the road. So right now I think we're like given access to that ball diamond. Anyway, they wasn't able to connect with them, but my understanding is that it's fundraising for an eventual permanent park too. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Mayor, did you have any comment?
Sure. I agree with the recommendation. I think it's a temporary measure until budget time, where we can explore a project and figure out all of these costs that you guys are thinking about, and deal with picking a spot, how much it's going to cost, whether or not an NDIT grant can be got. So I think this, as a temporary measure, this is a good recommendation.
Okay, thank you. All right, seeing no further comment or discussion points, what are council's wishes? Does anybody want to make a motion?
I will.
Councillor Souls. Oh, go ahead, Councillor Souls, please.
Recommend that low cost improvements to pilot a dog park at mile 295 are undertaken, including installation of gates and signage, and that staff proceed with an application to the Ministry of Water, Land and Resource Stewardship for an amendment to the NRRM's license of occupation at the Roy Gardner Park at mile 301 to permit use as a dog park.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Enox? Oops. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? I'm sorry, Councillor Andrews, are you opposed?
Yep.
Okay, so motion carries with Councillor Andrews opposed. Do you wish to be recorded?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Thank you.
great, thank you. Yes, you might as well stay there, hey? Okay. Moving on to Admin Report 64, NDIT Grant Resolution, Labor Market Study. That the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality applied to the Northern Development Initiatives Trust Rural and Remote Employment Initiative Fund Labor Market Research Plans grant for an amount up to $50,000 to support a labor market study. Ms. Shepherd.
Okay, so this report outlines an opportunity to undertake a labor market study with grant funding from NDIT for up to $50,000. The study aims to address ongoing workforce challenges, including retaining temporary workers and understanding the role of youth and international workers in the local labor market. It would complement the NRM's current economic diversification strategy that's underway and would intend to provide actionable insights to support sustainable employment and economic growth. There's also an opportunity to coordinate with neighboring communities with an aim to complete integrated labor market studies across the region. So there would be both a local study and a regional study. The grant covers up to 90% of eligible costs, which would leave, if it was 50,000, would leave the NRM responsible for approximately 5,000 in 2026. However, there may be some remaining funds in the economic diversification strategy project that could potentially cover that. So seeking a council resolution as part of that grant application.
Great, thank you. Any questions? Councillor Andrews.
Is this something that would be contracted out, or is it an in-house study that would be done?
It would be an RFP process. Consult.
Okay. Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you. I have more questions about the Northern Lights College. So I guess it kind of carries on from the idea of whether we're doing it in-house or whether it's done by consultants. So the Northern Lights, so the section that talks about Northern Lights College to work with us in collaboration with the other communities, a coordinated local labor market study. So that means I'm more interested trying to find out more information about what that looks like. Is that each of us does our own study and then they collect the information? Is it handing the money over them for them to do it? Is it they're expecting a certain portion of the grant to go to them so that they can coordinate between the communities? I'm interested in what that looks like.
Good question, Mayor.
Yes, thanks for the question. So this opportunity to coordinate with NLC did come a little last minute. And so we have had some conversations very recently about what that could look like. And I think what we would be seeking is the development of a steering committee outside of like before the RFP process, and then the steering committee of reps from the regional communities would develop a RFP and then work together to select a consultant. NLC has proposed the project, coordinating the project, but there is some room there to determine what that will eventually look like. If Lisa has anything to add, she's welcome to.
Go ahead, Lisa. Did you have a comment or?
Yeah. I think Hillary, you've covered it off. The role of NLC, like Hillary said, is really to be defined. They're the one proposing that there are synergies that could be gained, particularly through the rural community immigration program. So this would really look at local market demand and have that lens of immigration on it as well. So NLC would play, somewhat of an integral role in that regard, given their involvement in the RCIP program. But it really is finding those consistencies with the other communities of the procurement process, the surveys that we'll put out to the employers, those sort of things, and then fleshing out what that role of NLC is going to look like moving forward.
Great, thank you. I have a comment. I'm just wondering, to what level are our neighboring communities responsive to this? Like, do we know if they have already bought in, or is this Northern Lights College is just at the beginning stage of organizing?
Yeah, thanks. We were able to have a call on Thursday afternoon with potential partners in Chetwynd and Fort St. John. So that was really helpful, and everybody's been game to further the conversation outside of NLC. So it feels like we've got strong partners interested in proceeding that way.
And are they contributing funding as well?
Oh, sorry. So the idea would be that they would each be doing their own application NDIT. We would be doing our own application NDIT. And so they would be separate grant funds and then working together after that in the steering committee.
Okay, so we've got ourselves, Chetwynd, Dawson Creek, and Fort St. John. So we've got 4 communities applying for $50,000 each to do this labor market study. Thank you. Okay. Any further questions or comments? Okay, there is a recommendation on this report. Does anybody wish to make the recommendation? Councillor Rowe.
I'll move the recommendation that the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality apply to the Northern Development Initiative Trust Rural and Remote Employment Initiatives Fund Labor Market Research Plans Grant for an amount up to $50,000 to support a labor market study.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Andrews. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to report number 65, the draft government transfer policy. That the government transfer policy 73-25 be adopted as presented. Ms.
So
McIver.
moved.
Well, all right, we have been moved by the mayor and seconded by Councillor Souls. Is there any discussion? Oh, Councillor Roper?
Just some wording in the policy. I thought that we decided to replace incremental with supplemental, but I see that incremental is still listed in there. I also see supplemental at the top, but then it goes to incremental when it gets to the different tiers. So I'm just wondering what the how council feels about that wording.
That was just a miss. We had obviously not used find and replace. So,
Okay, so then,
We're using both terms right now in that policy document. So
okay, so what we wish is that all incremental be replaced, no, supplemental, no, did I say it right the first time?
incremental replaced by supplemental.
Okay, all right.
so, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Are you referring to the word within the objective section? In
Um,
reference
what
to
section
programs,
is that?
services and activities versus funding?
let me see. I caught it earlier.
There's a sentence that reads, provide sustained overtime to support programs, services and activities incremental to those offered by the NRM. So that refers to a program, service or activity versus funding. So I'm not
Okay.
sure if that's, we can absolutely replace it. But that kind of suggests that we're looking for services, programs and activities that are beyond those offered by us. Whereas we wanted to be sure that the funding is supplemental, not incremental.
Okay, well, that makes sense to me because
You're good?
we do have supplemental in the upper part of the document. So
So we're good with as it's written for now anyways. Councillor Andrews, did you have a concern?
Well, just to further that, I just scanned into here and where it says grants over 15,000. The grant will not be the primary source of revenue for the event or program and must be incremental to other sources, secure sources of funding. I think that's how we discussed it.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And thank you to everybody, like all, like council and staff especially, for the ongoing commitment to getting this policy up and running. Yeah, I know it was not without its challenges, so I appreciate everybody's perseverance and hopefully it does what we hope it will do. Okay, moving on to admin report 66, additional information for the bulk fuel light industrial regarding insurance and administrative options for discussion.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and councillors. Before you is a report to follow up concerning the conversations we've been having with council regarding the proposed bulk fuel plant located at 4401 55th Street. This is additional information following the last council meeting in which we committed to coming back with some information regarding potential impacts to insurance rates, as well as some legal advice concerning administrative measures that could be taken to limit the amount of fuel that could be stored on site. The report really just provides a bit of background on the progression of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. And the analysis section covers off information concerning the insurance rates. Generally, because of the way that insurance rates are formulated in BC, it's really difficult to tell how the insurance rates would be impacted. And it really does depend on the insurance company itself and how they evaluate risk. So that information's in the report. Also in the analysis section is some information regarding administrative options based on legal advice that we sought. which came back in that, the zoning is really the most effective way to be able to limit the amount of fuel that could be stored on site by including wording in the actual zoning bylaw. And as a secondary option, a covenant on title would also be effective as well. There's information in the report for your consideration of how each of those would look, as well as a comparison of the two. Should also be noted that both of those options could be used together as well. And it's really just for council's information.
Great, thank you. So I will just draw council's attention to the fact that this part was the admin report 66 was dealing with those additional information that we requested. And then we will be moving on to the discussion around the zoning amendment. So just keeping in mind that we're just discussing those additional information that we requested. Are there any questions or concerns over the information that was just presented in admin report number 66? Okay. Seeing none, everybody is okay to move on to the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality Zoning Amendment 4401 55th Street Bulk Fuel Bylaw number 238 for decision. Okay, I just wanted to start off by saying, giving my compliments to the way this report is written in such a systematic way. It's very, very well written, and it was very easy to understand an extremely complicated issue. So my compliments to all those involved, and to Ms. Thompson for presenting such a well-written report. So with that, I will open the floor for discussion. Who wants to start?
Well, we don't have a motion on the floor.
Oh, okay. I'm looking for a motion then to adopt the zoning amendment. Bylaw number 238B/25.
You're looking for third reading.
Deputy Mayor, sorry, Deputy Mayor, did you want me maybe to go over the three options?
That would be lovely. Go for it.
Okay. And it was also brought to my attention, and I thank you for your comments about the quality of the report, but there is an error in it. So
there is. I know, but I wasn't going to highlight that.
I will. So yeah, the report does go through and provide a bit of a summary on each of the comments that were made both by council and from the public, and tried to address it from the perspective of considerations specific to a bulk fuel plant. I have not provided a recommended option in the report, given that, there's been a lot of variation between council, as well as the comments made by the public. In the report, though, however, the first option is to refuse approval of the bylaw. So essentially quashing or defeating the bylaw at this time. Should council wish to do that or resolve to refuse approval of the bylaw, this would preserve the separation of the light industrial and heavy industrial activities. It avoids creating a precedent, which we heard, concern from the public about and from council, and it reduces the municipal oversight in the absence of a single provincial authority should we allow a bulk fuel plant. Refusing the bylaw would also be responsive to the public's concerns. The second option is actually approval of the bylaw without limiting the amount of fuel storage on site. So the first bullet, where we talk about preserving the intent of the light industrial zone by permitting a maximum aggregate fuel storage, that's in error. That should actually be under point number 3. So I'll just skip over that one for now. But if council chooses to approve the bylaw without a limit on the fuel storage, it would support economic objectives and enable the use of the infrastructure on the site as intended. And it would also require municipal resources to authorize and oversee the operations. So that would just be something that council would want to consider. And then the third option being refuse the current bylaw that's being considered by council, which currently does not include a limit on fuel, and instruct staff to come back with a bylaw that would include a limit on aggregate fuel storage. So with that, I'll pass it back over to council for any questions.
Hey, Mayor, did you want to have the motion on the floor before we go into any further discussion, or are you comfortable with us moving forward with the discussion?
I just didn't see it on the floor myself, but because then I know what I'm debating. These are subtle, and potentially the debate can go either way based on which one's on the floor. But I'm okay if you'd rather proceed just with the discussion.
Okay, I do have a question that I would like answered before I'm comfortable voting on a motion either way. It's so if the fire department, I'm just looking for the motion, the information here where the fire department, yes, wait, gotta find it. Oh yeah, here it is. So the fire department recommends limiting total on-site fuel storage of 200,000 liters consistent with card lock provisions. The site currently has capacity for 1.8 million liters of storage. So if council were to move forward with a zoning amendment that allowed a larger fuel load than 200,000 liters against the fire department's recommendation, and something terrible happens, what liability does the NRM then hold because we have gone against what our fire department has recommended? I'm wondering if there is an answer to that question.
I can provide you with my own opinion, which I'm sure you're not looking for, but no, we don't have legal opinion on what liability there would be. We can certainly seek that advice from legal counsel if council wishes.
Okay, thank you. How is council feeling? Is the answer to that question important enough to delay, or did you want to move forward? Yeah, Councillor Enox, thanks.
I think that's a very valid question. We don't want to be responsible for making the wrong decision if we're going to be held liable. God forbid something should happen if we let it go through.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Roper?
Would your suggestion be to defer until we can get that opinion of the liability?
I would like an answer to that question, but I'm only one vote, so I just kind of wanted to poll council to see how the rest of you feel. If you're ready to proceed to decision without having an answer to that question, then that's fine. But for myself, I would like to have that answer before.
I agree. We should have all the information on the table. And I think that's an important enough question that
Okay,
we should wait.
great. Thank you. Councillor.
I'd like an explanation from the fire department how they came up with the 200,000.
Okay.
Because that's another question that's related to the one you've asked. And I think, where is that number from? What's the rationale behind it?
Okay. Fair. Mayor, oh, sorry, Councillor Andrews?
If we're going down that train, I would like a question also, because it's listed in here is 400,000 liters was the request from the proponent. And what would it take from the fire department to be comfortable with the 4, 5, 600,000, or like what would need to happen for the fire department to be comfortable with the 4 to, I guess, 600,000 liters? I know it's up to 1.8, but I don't think we have a feeling of council who wants that much. So just kind of throwing a number out.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, we've got just a second. We'll go to the mayor and then come back to you. You're good? Okay, Mayor?
I have a question about that question, because I don't think the 400,000 was ever asked for. I think that was historical document. That's the historical amount that was requested by UFA, saying that 400,000 would be the minimum. and they'd like
Yeah.
to see 1.4 million. Like, I don't think the proponent asked for 400,000 in this case. That's a historical context. That question.
Okay, yeah, I think you're right here, yeah.
Okay. Lisa, you have your hand up. Sorry, Ms. Thompson.
Yep, thank you. So my understanding is the mayor's correct. The 400,000 was requested previously by UFA. They said that would be the minimum that would be needed to make the card lock viable. But the 200,000 is a limit in the BC Fire Code. So I think really, the question in addition to what would the fire department be comfortable with would be why is the BC Fire Code limiting card locks to 200,000? Because that's where that number comes from. So we can certainly find that information out, as well as council's liability if they were to suggest a volume higher than that.
Okay, thank you. I just also want to draw council's attention to the fact that we're kind of looking at two decisions. Decision one is if we're comfortable in rezoning any piece of property in light industrial to be used as a fuel transfer. That's the right word, right? Fuel transfer station, because currently that is only allowed in heavy industrial. So there's that component of it. And then the second component of it is if yes, you're comfortable with changing that, then what limit, if any, for the amount of fuel that's allowed to be stored on the property. So I don't know if you see it all the same way, but I see it as two distinct decisions that we're making. Mayor, did you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with your thought on that, but you're chairing. A deferral motion is appropriate. So I don't feel that we need to defer. I have all the information I'm looking for, but I'm not going to argue that all the information is available that you guys might be looking for. So a deferral motion is appropriate, and I'd support that.
Okay. Does anybody interested in making a deferral motion? Councillor Enox, seconded by Councillor Roper. Ms. McCover?
Could we include a date? Defer to?
We want to get in answer as soon as we get those questions answered. We want that information to be presented back.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion on the table, first and second. Okay, any discussion on the motion? Councillor Sullivan.
I feel that my question of where the 200,000 liters came from was answered. So
Okay. Great, thank you. However, not to muddy the water, but the 200,000 liters is by BC code for a bulk fuel, not a transfer station, right? Card lock, sorry, thanks. So I don't know whether your question is still could be valid, right?
So I have a point of order.
Go ahead.
There's no debate on a deferral motion. Just the date is all that you can defer. It's all you can debate.
Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Councillor Souls is opposed. Mayor, you were in favor? I didn't see your hand.
Yes, I'm in favor.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to correspondence. We have for discussion, we have two items. Letter from the Chief of the Doig River First Nations regarding their land use planning process, request for meeting and council engagement, and they have included a document for our perusal. So, Mayor,
Move for discussion.
both items, thank you. Second by Councillor Andrews. All those in favor, motion carries. Okay, so we'll discuss the letter from the Chief of Doig River First Nation. I, for one, would be interested in having a meeting with their council. Councillor Enox,
Yeah, I totally agree. I've seen quite a bit this presentation previously when I went down to the World Cafe in Port St. John. Yeah, it's pretty, it's pretty good.
presentation. Good. Okay. So do we need a motion to, Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you. So I also agree that a meeting would be great. Finally, we've got an order of government who is doing consultation the way it should be done. Right. So we've got the Doig River First Nation. It may not impact us specifically, the land use planning that we're talking about, particularly the Kaska-BC Park, but it does impact us regionally. And I'm certainly very interested in listening to what their council has to say.
Okay. So do we need a motion to make that happen, or is that good? Do we just make those arrangements? We need a motion. Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to have staff engage with the Doig River First Nations and set up a meeting between councils. Motion by Councillor Enack, seconded by Councillor Andrews. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next item is the email that I forwarded from Dennis Thompson. And he writes, I'm wondering why the most northerly town in BC doesn't put a stop to BC Hydro's planned power outage when it's not an emergency. I know it's not just a call to the planner, but if you go high up enough the ladder, I'm sure you will get some results. Changing a pole from November to March is harder and more costly than doing it in summer and a way more inconvenient for the public. The only reason the power should be shut off in the winter is if it's an emergency, and changing a pole definitely isn't an emergency. BC Hydro will give you all the reasons why they have to do this work in the winter, but none of them are valid. Thank you for your time. So open for discussion. I would like us to connect with BC Hydro to provide some sort of an explanation as to why. I think that there's legitimate reasons why the poles have to be changed. I know, we don't want it happening maybe in the summertime when we're in fire season, and definitely don't want it when it's like wintertime cold, but maybe the shoulder seasons. However, we don't know, we've worked really hard to ensure that we have a BC Hydro crew in town in the winter, because remember, for a while we didn't. So anytime anything happened, then the crews were coming from Fort St. John, which was a huge delay. So I don't know if that's part of their reasoning, but I, for one, would like to get some information from Hydro as to what their rationale is and what their minimum and maximum temperatures are. And yeah, so I don't know. Councillor Enax?
I had the same thoughts when Dennis sent us that email. I think Fort St. John had just done that, and it was pushing 20 below, and they were out of power all day. So I don't know if that's where his concerns come from. I don't recall a power outage here in the last little while, but I might have missed it.
Yep, go ahead.
So just a bit of an update. There was a scheduled power outage this past Friday, which was canceled because of weather, which from what I can understand was pole replacements. I think in conversation with BC Hydro in the past, it's putting routine work in place during, I'll say, the slower months in terms of the work they typically would do. And yes, we did ask for crew to be here, but at the same time, I don't think we're asking for them to pull the power during extreme cold days. I did reach out to Bob Gammer over the weekend, who is who's back in the saddle from a public relations perspective for the North, and just advised that there were some concerns raised regarding the potential scheduled power outages, and to get some sense of where they are with them in terms of what their thresholds and whatnot might be. They said during heat events and hot summer days, they consider that, and during the colder weather, they look at what potential norms would be, the duration, what the impacts might be. And again, that's for, I'll call it regular, I'll say it's renewal, replacement of poles, not emergencies. Because of course, it's emergency, they're going to take something down. He indicated that I asked specifically what the thresholds would be, because in the email, he didn't provide a threshold or in the correspondence, and asked, when we say norms, do we mean the typical norms, which currently today our typical averages are -15 highs and 23 below lows at night.
And and the response was essentially at 15 below, they would use that as a threshold to, I don't know if this is static or just happened because it's minus 15 is the low or is the high for our current time of year. So I did advise that there could be concerns with I'll say a lengthier multiple hour power outage if you're without power, from a heat perspective and how homes losing heat and potential other issues. And he did advise that there was another power outage scheduled for this Saturday affecting less than 5 customers, which based on forecast, as we know, we're seeing some extreme cold, we're going into a bit of a dip, that's most likely going to be canceled. But I think it's good to get an understanding where that threshold truly is, and I guess as a community and what council feels is acceptable and unacceptable.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, any further discussion? Okay. Did I put a motion on the table? I forget. No. Okay, well, I would like to make a motion then that we write a letter to BC Hydro outlining our concerns and looking for some information on when this or what the thresholds are for scheduled maintenance in the winter season, I guess.
Seconded.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Oh, sorry. And then could somebody write to Mr. Thompson and let him know? Okay, thanks. Okay, so for information, I'm looking for a motion to include the following for information only: a letter from Christine Boyle, Minister of Housing and Municipal Affairs, UBCM follow-up, letter from Meghan, I don't know, Lahti, Mayor of City Port Moody, Bill M216, 2025 Professional Reliance Act, letter from James Cuell, Executive Director, North Area Ministry of Water, Land and Resource Stewardship, re-engagement in the Kaska-BC Land Use Planning Project. Letter from Nina Kruger, maybe, Minister of Public Safety and Solicitor General, UBCM follow-up. Letter from Nicole McDonald, Mayor of City of Pitt Meadows, regarding concerns regarding Bill M216, 2025 Professional Reliance Act. And letter from Sid Tobias, Mayor of the Town of View Royal, M216 Professional Reliance Act. Looking for a motion to accept. Councillor Enoch, seconded by Councillor Roper. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to new business. There were no CAO additions. We had dealt with my addition already. So moving on to staff recognition, staff service recognition. So I'm so pleased to be able to do this tonight. We have several staff members that are receiving service staff awards. We have Nicole Ashdown, who is been with the service for 5 years. Katrina Castro, was practicing all day and I'm going to butcher it. Somebody say it for me. Thank you. She's a lifeguard. Justin Unra, working in the rec department. Angela White. They were both 5 years. Angela White, 10 years with the rec department. Dave Walters, 10 years with the rec department. Chris Sistad, got that one. 10 years with building facilities. Linda Breton, 10 years in finance. Glenn Ducharme, 20 years with public works. And I'm just beyond thrilled to be able to announce that Chief James Child is with us tonight. And he has been with the NRM for 30 years. So just want to take a moment to acknowledge Chief Child and express our gratitude. I'd give you a hug, but I don't know if you're hugging.
And to
You
all the
gotta
rest
be
as
careful
well.
these days, so I won't do that. Yeah, so I mean, I think it's just an incredible honor to see how many long-term employees that we have, and providing such exceptional service through all of our departments. So yeah, thank you very much for all of your service, everyone. Okay. So letter to BC Emergency Health Services, that's me. So I have a couple here. Yeah, I just wanted to bring council up to date on what's going on with our community paramedic position. So just as a little recap, in BC, community paramedicine was designed primarily for rural and remote communities that are often underserved and have aging populations living with chronic and complex diseases. The objective of the program is to help bridge health service delivery gaps identified in collaboration with local health care teams. In and around 2018 or so, we were blessed to receive services from our first community paramedic, who was instrumental in building the program in the interim, establishing relationships with residents and service providers alike. Service providers have built programming and service options around these services provided by the community paramedic. And every time the paramedic leaves the position, all of these services come to a full stop. Residents who once received any of the following services are left without. For example, education, support and monitoring of patients with chronic conditions, including diabetes, COPD, heart failure, hypertension, and palliative conditions. Home health monitoring systems, administration of vaccines as appropriate, and wellness clinics, educational events, group exercise classes, and so much more. Since 2018, we've had 3 community paramedics, with the third one having recently left the position. Once again, these invaluable services we're just left without. So I fully understand that people move on, but the time that it takes to replace our community paramedics seems to be increasing to unacceptable levels. Every time this position remains vacant, it erodes trust between the position and the community. Understand that currently there are as many as 36 vacancies around the province with no hiring in sight. So I would like Mayor Council to consider drafting a letter to Leanne Hempel, Chief Ambulance Officer, expressing our gratitude for the services offered by the community paramedic, as well as expressing our concern over the current vacancy without any indication on when or if it will be filled. So that's what I would like you to consider. Any discussion? Councillor Enochs?
I would second that.
Okay, so I'm going to put that as a motion, that last paragraph, and Councillor Enochs has seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of sending a letter? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Going on to traffic flow concerns at Pink Mountain, Regional Councillor Enochs.
So this past while, Mayor Fraser and I traveled down to Port St. John for the announcement of the new CASE program that Northern Lights College is doing. And we stopped at Pink Mountain. I introduced him to Corey and Lori, the owners of the campsite. And they've just redid the highway in front of the store, which I'm sure all of you have seen. They have great safety concerns. The turning lane now, well, I can back up. They only have one entrance now, and it's narrow. The trucks still stop, when they can, and they stop on the turning lane right on the highway now because they can't get in and turn around.
I see.
Years ago, one of the cooks from the hotel walked across 2 lanes at the time, and now there's 4, and she was killed. The cement barricades, if you're in a little vehicle, you've got that one exit. And if you're in a low vehicle, like a little tiny car, you can't see traffic coming from either way until you're actually out there. So I didn't know if there was something that we could do to help them rectify this problem. I know it's not our area. However, we all travel that highway. I'm sure we're not the only ones that always stop there. but I can pass it on to Mr. Barry if he has anything else to add, any more information or.
Did some just preliminary discussions just based on conversations with Counselor Enax. Just I did chat with the owners to get an idea, considering especially out of our area. So I'd asked if they'd I asked Lori if she'd chatted with or had any conversations with anyone with the Peace River Regional
Yeah.
District. There's a local government within that area, of course, and there hasn't been any discussions with the PRD.
Oh,
The discussions mainly have been around the requests through Ministry of Transportation, Public Works Canada, as a result of the changes that were made there. We did receive some information from Public Works Canada specific to the design, and we discussed with the property owners at the time. And the requirement, I'll say, from the tax standards, which are the transportation and safety standards, which have a limitation in terms of the amount of access you can have to a highway in terms of the space between access on a highway, which is limited to like 300 meters or something like that. So that's the reason why both properties on either side, so the Buffalo Inn on one side and then the campground on the other side of the highway had their additional entranceways removed. There's still two of the Buffalo Inn because one's for enough, the distance is far enough apart to allow what's deemed a safe access to the highway or access to the driveway access piece. So it's up to council, I guess, what I would like to proceed.
okay. Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you very much. So, as Councilor Enax has said, I was with her when we stopped and talked to the owners. You know, I think this is a case of the unintended consequences of trying to do the right thing. As Scott has said, you know, there is design criteria and policies that the federal government has, you know, based on the fact that it's a brow of the hill, based on the fact that it's the distance, as you said, between entrances off a particular highway. There's a couple of things going on here, and Councilor Enax has fairly pointed it out that because them trucks can't get in there, the no post guardrails in their way, they park in the turning lane, and you can't actually turn from the turning lane anyways because it's too tight a corner when you're in the turning lane to try to get around the end of the no post guardrail. So it's, you know, so they have to swing out into the highway anyway in order to make a turn in there if they're heading south. North, right. It works fine. But there's not enough room in the yard then once the truck gets in there to adequately turn around and get back out on the highway to continue going north. I mean, I think the answer there is just to pull that, it's just to make one big, long, wide entrance there. But again, I'm not an engineer for the highways, but there's a wreck waiting to happen here. It's the same with the two turning lanes, even going into the other. If you wanted to go straight across the highway from the Buffalo Inn across the road, then and there was a truck turning in the turning lane in, you can't see anything that's in the main lane around him. So if you thought that he was the only one and you started to proceed across the highway and he's making a turn, you're likely to run right into whoever's in the blind spot behind them. So there's lots of these blind spots, and the fact that these guys are parking where they shouldn't be parking. So I see a wreck waiting to happen there, unfortunately, and a lot of the residents of the Northern Rockies are traveling right through that spot. So I agree that we should probably be starting a conversation or lending our support to a conversation with the ministry. And, you know, there is some design criteria, I get it. But in this particular case, the design criteria has created an issue in my view. So I would agree that we start a conversation, and I did reach out to the area C director, and to tell you the truth, I'm just forgetting his name. It did not respond to me, so I'll also continue to try to get a hold of him.
Okay. Is there anything that council would like to do as a council, connect with PRRD or connect the owner with PRRD, or do we want to just leave it at the mayor trying to connect with the area C councillor?
I'm happy to do that.
Okay, well, we'll do that as a minimum. And then
Okay.
is there anything else that we want to do?
I don't know what else can we do.
Well, we could.
It's a start.
We could acknowledge or send a letter to the PRD introducing the owner to the PRD, because I don't know why they wouldn't have already contacted them, but they haven't. So why don't we do that as a step? We can briefly outline what the concern is and then leave it up to, well, I don't even know. Like at first I thought, well, it's not our area, but Councillor Enox and the mayor make a really good point that we're all traveling that road quite consistently, right?
And it's
So,
a hazard. If you could sit there and watch it, it is a
Yeah.
definite hazard.
Councillor Souls?
I think that it's, of course, it's not in our zone, but that doesn't mean it isn't our problem. And I think that we should actually write them a letter from a safety point of view, that our traveling public from the Northern Rockies has to deal with this issue. And it's a serious hazard that's been created by Moody. So I think that's the kind of thing then, rather than just introducing PRRD to the campground owners and saying, deal with it, we're actually lending them another lever by just writing a safety focused letter.
Writing the letter to the PRD
Letter
or to the minister?
PRD. No, send it to Modi, but CC it to the campground.
Is that a motion?
Yes, that's a motion.
And seconded by Councillor Enox. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, great. 9.5 is the Muncho Lake Campground. That's me. Sorry to make this meeting really long, people. So I just wanted to bring to council's attention that in 2020, BC Parks purchased a fully operational, privately owned RV park at Muncho Lake. This RV park provided multiple sites with power. There were tent camping sites and there was access to the lake. It had showers and washrooms. I'm not exactly sure how many sites were available, but in most cases you could usually secure a site even on the weekend. The RV park took the pressure off both Strawberry Flat and McDonald campgrounds. Since purchasing the RV park in 2020, BC Parks, it has remained closed, which has obviously added pressure to both McDonald and Strawberry Flat campgrounds. At the November 19th Northern Rockies Roundtable meeting, the minutes reported that a conversation was had around the inactive campground at Muncho Lake. The minutes reflect that an opening does not seem to be close at hand and is related to funding. So having requested more information, Lisa Thompson, the NRM's Director of Regional Development and Planning, contacted BC Parks and received the following update. BC Parks has their annual planning meeting for Peace and Liard Parks in mid-January and can likely provide more information about the future of the Muncho property after that. Regionally, BC Parks would like to see that campground reopen. However, we do not currently have confirmed funding. It will be a discussion in January where it sits on our list of priorities. So I would like to propose that if council agrees, I would like to see us step up our lobbying efforts with BC Parks to hopefully ensure the inactive campground at Muncho Lake receives the funding necessary to get it operational, hopefully in time for the 2026 season. As a beginning point, these lobbying efforts could include a letter to BC Parks to be received in time for their consideration before their January planning meeting, a letter to the minister responsible for BC Parks, Tamara Davidson, highlighting the history of the RV park, taking it from a fully functioning operation into a long closed resource, and outlining our wish to see it reopen for the 2026 season, and any other lobbying efforts council or staff determines might be effective. I'll make that a motion. Seconded by Council Enox. Any discussion on the motion? Councillor Andrews.
Can we maybe add in there that if they don't have any capabilities, secure funding, that they'll put it back up for sale?
Oh, I like that. Yep. Okay.
I don't really want to add to the motion. I just was thinking that the other options, just put yourself in the shoes. You buy a campground that's functional and then you shut it off, knowing that everyone around you wants it to operate. And you say you sit on your hands because you can't get the funding. There's a lot of people jockeying for the funding in the province now because
Yep.
there's a shortage in the kitty. So maybe they would be amenable to someone else running their campground for them. And that we could suggest that as a option because
They do have an operator that's very willing.
RFPs that's what RFPs are for. And there's possibly someone else that would like to run.
And now they're saying that, like, because it's been closed for 5 years and overgrown, now there's all this work to be done, right? But
yeah.
kind of. So, Ms. Thompson, I see your hand up.
Yep, I just wanted to remind council that in addition to acquiring that land, they've also incorporated that as part of Muncho Lake Provincial Park. So it's actually part of the provincial park now. It's not just, a parcel of private land or crown land. It's actually incorporated in the park.
Thank you. Yep. Which is why it's their responsibility, which is why they need to get it open, but okay. Okay. Any further discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Great, thank you. Councillor reports, 10.1. Councillor Enox.
Put my glasses on. November 29th, we had the Rotary auction at the community hall. Upwards of $30,000 was raised to go towards our CT scanner. It was a fun night. We had a challenge announced that evening. The Hodson family has started the Hodson Holiday Challenge. The family is donating $73 per family member for all 40 of them towards the CT scanner, as Jerry Hodson lived here for 73 or 72 years. So the challenge to all the residents in Port Nelson is to donate $1 for every year you've lived in Port Nelson towards the CT scanner. December 3rd, I attended the Kaska meeting. And then what else did I do? Oh, I had a meeting today and now I'm here. That's it. Short and sweet.
Thank you. Mayor?
Thank you. I also attended the Kaska meeting and a couple others. I just don't have them in front of me. But what I really wanted to say is I wanted to provide my thanks to all of the staff, recreation staff, for the light up, the community light up last night. It was good. It was well attended. We had a little bit of a mishap when we were trying to sing Santa Claus in. I drove back from Fort St. John yesterday and practiced the wrong song, singing it for 4 hours. Got there and found out that the choir was going to sing a completely different song. They had it on. They had the words up on the TV, but
Sorry, I missed that.
The choir couldn't see it, and so the choir was, half a chorus behind everybody out, and so it was a bit of a mess. So whoever is the mayor next year, this time, should just take the time to get with the choir and make sure that we're all aligned, so that singing Santa Claus down the stairs works out a little better. But it was fun. Everybody had a lot of fun. We had a good laugh over it, and I certainly appreciate all the hard work that our staff did to put that on. Lots of people visiting, eating hot dogs, popcorn, hot chocolate. That was great. And finally, to all of those folks that braved the frightful weather and either watched or participated in the parade, was wonderful.
Especially the Zamboni driver. Didn't you feel sorry for the Zamboni driver? Oh my gosh, you must have been freezing. Great. Thanks, Mayor. Anybody else? Oh, Councilor Roper, please.
November 28th, I was able to host a little information session for Miss Barshu's grade 8s for the end of career week. And I felt that was a really good experience for everybody. I just want to thank CAO Scott Barry and all the other staff that came in and gave their time and had a discussion with the young students. I really feel like they got a good perspective as to future careers within the municipality, and yeah, it was great. And plus the tour of the building, they were brought up to see the old hotel rooms, which they were really excited for. So thank you very much, staff, for making that happen. Appreciate it.
Good for you. Thank you. Yeah, good for taking that on. Thank you. I'll just be really brief. So November 18th, while I was in Prince George, I was invited to the offices of Urban Systems and met in person with the team that works with the CHP. November 26th, I attended the BC Health Coalition Steering Committee meeting, followed by the BC Rural Health Network Board meeting, and finally the EAC, where we had an overview presentation of the 2016 Solid Waste Management Plan and points from the efficiency review by GHD and Jasmine, our own Jasmine Glaves. We had a great discussion, and I just wanted to share something, a really great factual information that came out of our discussion. So in 2024, we as a community, or as communities, were able to divert 1.2 million pieces of plastic weighing in at approximately 12,000 kilograms from our landfill through our recycle depot operated by Wide Sky. All of this without curbside pickup. So yay, well done us, and thank you to Wide Sky. November 27th, I attended the chamber meeting where Floyd Bertrand, NLC campus administrator, announced that the college is setting up a community advisory group to engage the community in programming needs and wants. So if anybody is interested in sitting on that committee, please connect with Floyd. December 3rd, as everybody has said already, along with the mayor, Councillor Souls, Councillor Enax, and Roper, I attended the Kaska land use presentation, and we have a follow-up tomorrow taking place. And then December 4th, I attended the Data open house, followed by a meeting with Chiro Panessa. There you go. Practice that one all day too. CEO of Northern Health, and Steve Raper, VP Communication, Public Affairs, and staff. December 5th, I attended the Community Health Plan Steering Committee meeting. And good news is the table was awarded a grant to help reestablish the Community Action Table, focusing on harm reduction in the NRM. BC Emergency Health Services continues with their local recruiting efforts, and the Fort St. John Air Crew is doing their precepting, which will update their expanded scope of practice. So that's all good news for us. December 6th, I volunteered at the Chamber's small business Christmas party, and it was such a great event with really, really good food. It was really good food. December 7th, I attended the annual Parade of Lights, and thanks to everyone who participated, especially that Zamboni driver, and to the Northeast Management for organizing. I missed the annual Christmas tree light up bid, but did take in the Historical Society's Christmas light up at the museum. It was just so great to see so many people out and about despite the cold and the snow. And I just wanted to take a minute to thank everyone who's worked so tirelessly to ensure our community is alight with the holiday spirit. I don't want to mention anyone in particular because I know I'll miss somebody, but I just wanted to say thank you. You're all appreciated. So thanks very much. That's my report.
Can I add to that one thing?
Yeah, for sure.
I think everybody knows I'm in Fort Liard, and I've had half a dozen comments from people that either I'm working with from outside the region who have traveled through the community and just think the town is lit up and fantastic. So we're making an impression out there.
Excellent. That's good news. Thank you for sharing. Okay. On item 11, notice of motion. Are there any notice of motions?
I have
Seeing
one.
none. Oh, go ahead.
So at the January meeting, I intend to introduce a motion that we develop a code of conduct for council.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do not. Okay. Anything else? Seeing none. Item number 12, public news media question and answer period. Any questions? Sorry, I can't see it. Sorry. Oh, okay. Go ahead, Bev.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you so much. A couple of things I would like to add for your consideration. One, I also attended the parade. I'm so impressed with my family as well, stood in the street in the cold. I'm so impressed with the people that came out and not only participated in the parade, but provided us with a parade of lights. So thank you very much. I did want to comment on the Muncho Lake Campground. So I think another consideration of council is, while we do certainly need the extra campground at Muncho Lake, and there's synergies to be had, a consideration needs to be that we only have one other campground currently there, privately owned, Northern Rockies Lodge, that is offering powered sites. And BC Parks need to be cognizant of the costs attached to operating that and providing those sites, and should not be undercutting other operators in the region. So typically BC Parks do not have any powered sites here. So I think that's just a consideration that we need to be conscious of. And then my final thing is, as you're probably aware, we're currently operating in partnership with the NRRM, the Buy Local contest, Shop Local contest. And this year we've actually been tracking the spend of those as much as we can, the spend of those receipts that are coming in. And we are currently, since we started, this will be our third week, at over $15,000 in local spend coming into us in receipts. So of course that doesn't include people that are not sending us in their receipts, but it's really cool. And I think an important piece to let you know about, and we will be certainly putting it out there later on as well. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Vandersteen. And it's my understanding that BC Parks is no longer entertaining the notion to turn that unused campsite into anything with power. It'll just be regular BC camping without power. So, but that is a good, yeah. I think that's important to note, that we don't want to be competing with the business that's there. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay.
Absolutely. And if I can make one more point, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Sorry.
I'm very flexible.
You know, BC, thank you. BC Parks is kind of across the province and maybe even across the country nationally, moved away from how they have done, you know, auditoriums and nature talks and all of those kinds of things. And I think there would be interest from both the private campground there and others to see someplace where people could go to have those talks, or that they could encourage, you know, further exploration of the area and an education of what this region brings. So I don't know if there's appetite for that from a council perspective, but certainly some possibilities.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Seeing no further questions or comments, looking for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Councillor Roper, seconded by Councillor Enox. All in favor? Motion carries. Thanks very much, everyone.